evening. I'm Jerry Doherty. I'm with ArtsFalmouth.org, and we are so happy to bring to you a band that is getting their stuff together here on Cape Cod and actually has got quite a bit of recognition, has done some major shows, has been nominated for Best New Artist and Best New Female Vocalist by Limelight Awards. That was last year, and I remember I voted in that. I believe it was, or was it this year? It was this year, wasn't it?
Technically, it was this year. Still hasn't happened yet, though, because of obviously COVID.
Yeah. Well, here the folks you hear talking right here are the singer and producer guitarist from Melic Moon, and they are based out. Is it Marston's Mills? You're based out of?
Kind of all over the place now. We kind of started. We started off in Bourne. Mike and Dave, the other member, are from Bourne, and we have our recording studio, underground recording company there that Mike produces and does all of that.
Right.
And then we moved to Marston's Mills, and now we're back kind of in the Bourne, Plymouth area.
Okay, well, welcome to Bourne. That's where I am too. So it's anyway. This is Amalia Ververis, vocalist, and Mike Machaby. He's the guitarist, multi-talented guy who has the studio where they do the recording. And one of the guys who has used their studio is our own Falmouth Andy Sexton, who I know personally, and he's done the jazz stroll with us several times. And I just wanted to say I had an opportunity to have met Amalia in the business place a few times, and we've talked about this. And when I had an opportunity to interview a new band or a new singer for Arts Falmouth, I chose you guys because I had heard some of your music, and I'm like, yeah, these guys would be great to
Wow, thank you so much,
Jerry.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
Oh, you're very welcome. I think I was listening to the music and listening to Rose Moon. I saw the video when it came out, and listened to most of the cuts on the new album, which is called Natural Things, the name of the album. But I love that song.
Rose Moon?
I love them all, but Natural Thing is like, that is really cool. And
thank you very much.
It reminds me of, Amy Winehouse a lot.
Yeah, that's one of Amalia's really famous, and one of mine too, really really one of the artists that we looked up to a lot. So and that's one that I wrote, and it was so amazing to have Amalia just completely take her own take on it and really bring that Amy Winehouse element to the song. It completely made it,
You did it, but you weren't copying. You weren't copying. But I could hear the influence there.
Yeah, I love. Mike has always been really influenced, like by Billie Holiday, as I have been, and Amy was influenced by her as well, and definitely like the jazz. And a lot of people don't realize how much jazz is actually in, like, either modern pop or just music in general, and they don't think jazz when they hear it. So but the crazy thing with that song, Natural Thing, is like, Mike wrote it, and like we had basically like finished the album, and we didn't have Natural Thing on it yet. And I remember he was just like, oh, I wrote this new song, I want to check it out. And he was like, it's like like he was like kind of like half about it, and he played it. This is 100% like my favorite song at the moment right now. And I kind of just asked him, I was like, can I try like singing it and just see what happens? And I mean,
it definitely worked out for the best, for sure.
Well, yeah, what's really neat about it too, and I've done a lot of studio work in the past, and I've had my own recognition years ago in the Nashville country thing. But one of the things that's really cool as a songwriter, and I know you guys basically just said the same thing. You get an idea, and you take it from its birth. Into the idea becomes it's more like one of your kids, right? I mean, it's like, people always go, "What's your favorite song?" Well, you can't really have a favorite kid, but maybe you have one that, I like the talent of this one. This one's got this other talent, or this one's got this other thing, right, going on. But I know what you're saying. it's just something that maybe a lot of people wouldn't understand. And
Oh yeah, that's my favorite thing about producing records in general. You get to, someone will come in with their song too, and you get to bring it to a place where they never even dreamed of, and it can like really, I feel like it's actually making people's dreams come true, when they get to hear themselves.
It really is, because let's face it, a lot of time, Mike, you being a multi-instrumentalist and a producer, obviously you've developed an ear, right? You've developed an ear. You've learned how to place things properly in the mix. And I can tell by listening to your music that you know what you're doing.
Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Well, no, I mean, there's a lot of new artists that don't quite have that because, they're new artists. And, but I think you guys are, I can't say you're fully formed because, we go from this place to this place as we mature as musicians and singers and so forth. But I was very, very impressed, and I'm a pretty critical listener. I mean, most people would not like, and Mike's probably the same way. He sits and watches maybe somebody perform, and it might be a national famous person, and you're like, man, this guy's somebody's got too much compression on this mix, man. Oh, I mean, they're squashing it out, and I have that ear, and it's like, you don't want to know what I'm thinking when I'm watching.
I really appreciate that. I know what you're saying.
It's a big thing, and anyway, what I was going to say was with Amalia's voice, it's almost it belies your age, because I'm hearing some stuff that I wouldn't expect to hear from a young woman, and that's awesome. I mean, that's a major compliment as far as I'm concerned, because, and I mean it, because you really are good. And, and Mike, you got the sounds right up front about what you're doing. And the other cool thing is I saw your video, and they have a video, by the way, and we'll have that at the end of this interview today that we'll be putting out on Falmouth Cable TV and ArtsFalmouth.org site on YouTube, and also on ArtsFalmouth's own website, the movie that's called Rose Moon. And as I'm watching that Rose Moon, when I first watched it, I'm like, well, this is different. Different. It had kind of a Halloween theme, but kind of a magical theme to it. And I thought it was neat. But Mike, being a guitar geek that I am, excuse me, I noticed you had a fan fret guitar.
Oh, yeah, that is actually a guitar that was made by a local guitar maker. He's amazing.
He's based in South Yarmouth, and he's like 26 years old, and he handmade that guitar and let us use it for the video.
Yeah, and he's let me use guitars in the studio. It's so amazing. I'm right now saving up to actually buy one of his guitars. His name is Michael Crobot. And you can find it at crobotguitars.com.
Okay.
You can. He does custom guitars where you can. He has a series of different models you can pick from, and different woods, different types of fretboards, and you can also do the fan frets, which was interesting. I had never really played one before. I've tried a fan fret bass before that, but the guitar was so interesting to play, and it really feels amazing. I would highly recommend.
Yeah, and for those of you who are watching this and are not a total guitar nerd like apparently Mike Machaby and Jerry Doherty are, a fan fret guitar it kind of belies the vision, because the frets are slanted one way at the lower frets, and as it gets to the center of the guitar, they begin to level out, and then they begin to go this way again. And the idea behind a fan fret guitar is that you can do various drop tunings with the guitar and have it still, the intonation still be good. A lot of folks like myself, and I'm sure Mike, you might drop your 6th string, your E string down to a D, or you might even drop it down 2 whole steps to a C, which is, I love, by the way.
Yeah.
And you get a good intonation, but if you don't have that, it actually, you're lengthening the scale a lot of times on the lower couple of strings, and then having normalized scale for the thinner strings. And it's a very neat thing, and it's kind of, when you play it, it feels fine, but it's visually, it's a little weird, right?
Yeah, and it took me a while to get used to it, but I really liked it. The only thing is trying to play slide guitar on it. You definitely need straight frets, you know.
I
That's
can see that
really
could be I
difficult.
could see that could be an issue. So Amalia, you what did you tell me about how Melic Moon came together? Like, what was the vision? What, I guess it was you guys and
So
here's some idea.
it was about 3.5 years ago now. Well, if you want to go back even further, I moved to Cape Cod about 5 years ago from Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a Washashore. Um, and I didn't really, I don't really have to get into the first 2 years that I was here, but I didn't do a lot of music. I was kind of in a bad situation. Got out of that situation, and I just kept hearing around town, like, oh, there's this open mic night, like you have to go to it, like if you're a singer songwriter. And it was the open mic night that my best friend now hosts. Well, she's always hosted it, but now she's my best friend. Molly Parmenter hosted at the Duck Inn pub in Hyannis.
Right.
And he dates David Ellis, who is our drummer. And David Ellis has gone to high school. Did you go to middle school?
We went to
Mike and
together.
Dave grew up together in Bourne. So I ended up, like I said, I heard kind of all around town, like, you have to go to this open mic night. It's so fun. Everybody's like so inviting. It's not like, it's not like crickets or something like that. And so I went, and I didn't know anybody, which was really awesome. And ended up meeting Mike, and he was just like, we should definitely like play music sometime. And we just started kind of building like a set. And then him and Dave had a gig together in Harwich, and he was like, well, if you want to come along and like sing maybe a couple songs, then you should. So I ended up just singing maybe 2 songs at like his gig, and they ended up offering 3 of us like a residency there for every Saturday night. So
wow.
Don't get back without her.
So basically you had to woodshed pretty seriously, Amalia, to get things together, or did you just kind of know a lot of the same songs together?
I knew we kind of just had like the same taste in music. And I mean, I was definitely not prepared to, have like a 3-hour set ready. We were like, okay, like, I was asking him because he was, like I said, I had 2 years where I kind of like, in a way lost myself a little bit, and, didn't do that as much. So, I definitely was not as prepared as Mike was to do a 3-hour set. I mean, I just sat in on his 3-hour set, basically. So I kind of, just told him what I like, and we just figured out, from then. And, whenever I listened to the radio or any of that, I would just text some songs and be like, oh, maybe we can do this next time we practice. And, he would do the same thing. And then just pretty effortlessly, Mike is an incredible songwriter, and, I love writing songs. And just like before we knew it, we were writing songs, and not even for an album. We were just like, let's, you have these songs, and that, now I'm singing it. And now you're taking like Rose Moon, for example. That was one of the first songs that I wrote, being in Melic Moon. And you listen to the voice memo, the original voice memo of Rose Moon, and it was nothing close to what it was like on the album. And like Mike just took it to a whole other level. But at first we weren't doing it for okay, we're booking all these live shows. How could we incorporate more original music into it? So between, Mike, Dave, and I, we just really started, kind of honing in on like our original music and original set. And then we got even more serious, and Mike and Dave built a recording studio. I mean, it took a little bit of time, but, it didn't happen overnight. It took months and months and months. But, then we built a recording studio, and then it took more months and months to record the album. But it was really crazy how it came about. It was very serendipitous, and I mean, I'm so grateful, and I'm so happy it all happened the way it did. But
that's great. And so So you were both writing songs separately, and then you found, he heard your voice and you heard his guitar playing, and you were like, wow, this could work. And I've been there, done that too. I mean, we had that also in my band back in Pennsylvania, and we did a lot of touring back in the '90s. So, would I be presumptuous to say that this is smart pop jazz, rock? I don't know. How would you describe it? That's what I'm hearing, but I want to hear you describe it.
I'd say, I think it would be jazz influenced pop music, soul pop music, because I love all those songwriters like Cole Porter, George Gershwin, like and the singers like Billie Holiday, Sarah Vaughan, even like Nina Simone. I love that sound, but it's not a sound that can come out of me, So it's really great to have someone like Amalia that can interpret it that way that I envision it in my head.
Right. And so when you write a song, you're writing it, and then when you bring it to Amalia, do you kind of know the keys? Like, do you know her sweet spot as far as the keys go?
That actually, well,
some of the time.
I usually write songs in my own sweet spot, right, and then tailor it to her comfortable spot, because it's kind of painful sometimes listening to myself singing out of like something in a range that's too high for me to sing. So I like to pass it off to her as soon as I get an idea, so she can do her thing with it.
So Mike, I heard some nice horn playing at the beginning of Natural Thing.
Oh yeah,
that was you? Is that you doing that?
Oh no, I wish. That was a wonderful horn player named Joe Mongelli, from the Lower Cape. He's an amazing horn player, and I really just, the foundation that he tracked on top of it was really bare bones and just had the chord structure, and he really just brought that one to life. It totally brought the song into that old smoky bar kind of feeling that I envisioned in my head, and I couldn't accomplish with just guitar alone.
Sure.
And he added some harmonies, and he also did the track Slow Down, and totally really, I think that's the great thing about bringing in session musicians. They can, the same way that I can as a producer try to bring someone's song to life, like a session musician can have a take on something that I would never ever think of, but it could be the perfect thing,
Right, exactly. I know I was recording a song one time, and the producer, well, actually, he was the engineer, I was the producer. But he said, did you ever think about doing this song through like a telephone kind of conversation? You get that thing narrowed down. And back in the day, we were recording for every song we finally recorded, and we'd try to do the mix. People were still using cassettes in their cars. So we take the cassette and bring it out to my car and listen to it on that. No, it's a little too much 1K here. Let's bring it back.
Oh yeah, that's an everyday experience of my life. The car mix. Yeah.
Right, because you're doing car mixes with are you doing it with CDs or with Bluetooth now? I guess, right?
Yeah, it's super simple for us now.
Yeah, well, I recorded my first one on 2.5-inch Studer tape.
Oh
the old Studer machines, but they were great. And then the next one was ADAT, I think.
Oh well, yeah, I've done both. I when the first studio I worked at had a few different tape machines, and he used to run it through the tape, even the digital stuff through the tape machines just to get warmth, and through his really nice Trident board, and it was really awesome. And I was responsible for cleaning the tape machines too. So that was interesting.
It's funny, Amalia, and me being just maybe like 2 years older than you guys. I'm just joking. Me being in the music business for a long time, it's kind of funny, Mike, and Mike will probably laugh at this too. You get all this people who wanted to make the move to digital, and now we have all these plugins that are trying to make it sound like vinyl.
Exactly. I have one that I use it when I show people the studio all the time as a joke. I'm like, look, I can put like cracks and pops on your record, and people are like, oh, that's so cool. I want that.
I'm kind of one of those people too. Like, I mean, I like that.
It's cool. It's cool how sounds can bring that nostalgia feeling.
Oh yeah, and just how how you mic an amplifier. An electric guitar is it's a weird instrument because you have to play it at a certain volume level to make it sound any good. But with these plugins and the different things that are out there, you can do it digitally if you want with a plugin. But I personally am old school enough that I like it best if you stick a mic in front of it, stick one in the room, maybe stick one on high, and then just take maybe 3 or 4 tracks, sit at the board and do it, and then just kind of mix them in together. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, and I love doing that too. And the really dangerous thing about now the rabbit hole sometimes now is that now I do a process sometimes called reamping. So you can take a signal and then send it back out, so you get another chance to mic all that stuff. So it's like you can then put 4 mics on something with not worrying about bleed or anything, and you get a whole second shot on capturing the tone and not capturing performance and tone at the same time. It's really incredible.
And so you're using the format. I assume you're using a version of Pro Tools.
Yeah, I use Pro Tools, and I actually have been starting to. I recently just bought Reaper. Is another program which is they're all DAWs are really similar. I just use Pro Tools because I grew up using that, and it's kind of been the industry standard. But I use a digital interface, but I also have a 16-channel Tax Scorpion analog console, so I can run through all the channels just and use it as a channel strip. Or I could run all my mixes back out through the board to get warmth, just running through the EQ or whatnot. So I can kind of get a mixture of, I can get the analog, like real analog sound, but have a second shot in it by capturing the performance first. And I don't do that all the time, but it is something that I like to do.
Well, that's cool. Well, Amalia, how would you? I think you mentioned to me when we did like a little pre-interview before we did this, you said you're working on some new songs that you're going to be bringing out, hopefully into 2021. And by the way, God bless us in 2021, and I hope it's a much better year.
Oh my God, yes.
And I really think that we're all hopeful for that, especially in the music and the arts world, because we've been really hit extremely hard.
It's been very difficult.
It has.
For everybody.
Yes, it has. Yeah. So tell me, you've got a couple of new things that you're working on. Are they already finished in the can, so to speak?
We have, we're going to be releasing a single soon off of the next new album. And that was basically done. I think it just needs like a little bit more mixing and all of that. And I don't think we're going to say when it's coming out. It may just be a surprise to everybody in 2021. But then also, again, we don't even know what's coming out. So it's a surprise for everybody.
Yeah, all the foundations are there. We just need to tidy up some things. And
sure.
The foundations to the entire album are done. So we have, I would say we have about 15 songs right now recorded.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
That's so Amalia, what do you see Melic Moon, assuming that we get back to some semblance of a normalcy in the music and the arts performance world, what do you see Melic Moon doing on a local or regional basis?
Well, we would obviously love to be playing to like our local community again, where we missed that so much. I mean, it was just crazy. Like even today, just driving home and like thinking about this interview, I was just like, I cannot even believe it's been, we've had like three maybe gigs, like basically all of 2020 since March. And it's just like such a huge part of me and us. And I just was like, I can't believe we're doing an interview for our music today. Like, thank God, it's just like amazing. It's just been so sad, but for 2021, you know, just playing more to our local community, like I said, but then, you know, we were definitely thinking about doing like a New England tour. Like I said, I'm from Connecticut originally, so going to some places in Connecticut, going to Rhode Island, going to New York, you know, Vermont, even New Hampshire, Maine, maybe even go down a little further from New York. I know New York isn't New England, but you know, just a kind of like a Northeast tour kind of thing, just to promote. The thing is, we never had a chance to promote this album, like live wise.
Right,
You know,
right.
we were going to release it in April of 2020. We were scheduled to play at Rockwood Music Hall in Manhattan, and the weekend we were scheduled was the week that everything shut down in Manhattan. So like obviously like the gig didn't happen, and we were going to do like a preview show of the new album, and we were going to release the album in like two weeks after that. And we still released the album, but we released it in May. But we just never had like the chance to be like, okay, we released the album, now we're, you know, playing it for our community. Now we're playing it out live. We've played the album, you know, out live maybe, you know, twice this year, besides like one other show. So we never had the opportunity to tour it. So I definitely want to tour Natural Thing, but we've also been given this time, you know, like I said, we have about 15 songs done. I don't know if there'll be 15 songs on the album. We need to like, you know, figure out what that'll entail, but to also, you know, tour those songs too, and just have, you know, come out of this with even more, you know, creativity and hope and, you know, music and, you know, ideas, like you said about the music video for Rose Moon, how you're like, wow, this is so different and like creative. It really was like, honestly, if we were like super, super, super busy, like I don't know if it would have been what it is kind of thing, because you know, it just gave us that opportunity to kind of really take our time and just be creative and wild and different with it. And I'm really happy how it turned out. But, you know, it's gotten, you know, all the gears turning for even other creative and fun ideas.
Another video soon.
Yeah, I think we're going to do a new music video for a new song off of this upcoming album.
Great. Well, you know, out of every bad thing, depending on, you know, it's all about our perspective, and it's all about our attitude. I mean, if we can make, you know, you can make lemons. If you get lemons, you make lemonade, right? You know, and we've been making a lot of lemonade this year, I think, especially in the arts.
Our hearts have like totally gone out to everybody affected by COVID, and like we're still in this, and it's still extremely hard and scary. But you know, for us, literally just being quarantined, like in our house, in our studio, yeah, there's really nothing else more we could do besides create. So,
and the thing is, you didn't get discouraged. You said, okay, we're going to make use of this time. You know, we're going to redeem the time and do something with it. And a lot of folks, unfortunately, have kind of gone the opposite way. You know, it's kind of like, oh, I'm bummed out. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And so good. You did really the right thing, because the thing is, you have something great. You know, you really do.
Yeah.
That's why we're talking. And I think you guys have a tremendous amount of promise. And you know, I just think it's really wonderful. And I have one more thing I wanted to say. I happened to, we were doing at ArtsFalmouth, we have a thing called Jazztober, and we have the Jazz Stroll, which I've been a part of. Andy's been part of, and we had actually 9 groups this year that we did it virtually. So I was involved in producing that part of it, along with some of our volunteers from the Falmouth Cable who serve on ArtsFalmouth. And so we recorded it inside of our chairwoman's business, Lee Geishecker. And Lee owns Vagabond View Photography over in Falmouth, over in Queens Byway.
Oh.
And I mentioned you guys, and she said, oh, I saw them at the North Falmouth Drive-In, and they were doing a show with Crooked Coast, and she goes, they were wonderful. She goes, you're going to interview them? I said, yeah, I happen to know Amalia from a business where she works. We're friends with the owner. We might as well say the business. It's Rory's Organic Market.
Rory's Market.
Rory's Market in Mashpee,
Mashpee
who are
Tennis Court.
friends of mine also for many years, and where I do most of my shopping. But she said, she goes, I can't believe that girl was so young. She sounded more mature. And I said, yeah, that's exactly right. And when I heard your CD, I said, I get it. So she gave you the thumbs up, by the way, for the interview.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I thought we thank Lee for that. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. And so we will be, there might be a couple of edits in here, I'm not sure, but we're going to wrap it up. And I really appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to me, Amalia and Mike.
Thank
you for
so
having
much
us.
for
Thank
having
you
us.
so much.
This is really fun.
Oh, you're welcome. And Mike, I hope to meet you in person. And I was joking with Amalia. I said, well, you know, you've got Rose Moon and our friend Andy had Strawberry Moon. So and I'm a songwriter, and if I have to make a CD, do I have to call it Monument Beach Moon? I mean,
yeah. You'll have to come by to check out the studio as well.
Absolutely.
I love showing people around and showing people what I can do. And
I would love to see your studio, and we can arrange that sometime. I know you're a busy guy, and the good news is that you're still busy through all of this recording people stuff that maybe they're not out working in the restaurants and so on, but they're recording some new music. Is that right?
Yeah. I've been it's like as much as I can while still being safe. I haven't had any big size bands come through. It's been a lot of solo people, so everyone can be safe, but I've still been trying to be busy as possible.
So in wrapping this up, Mike, tell us the name of the studio again.
Underground Recording Company.
Underground Recording.
In Sagamore Beach.
And you're in Sagamore, okay. And Amalia, looking forward to seeing you guys get promoted with not only Rose Moon and the Natural Thing. I believe that's Natural. I almost said Natural. I almost said it the wrong way. Natural Thing. Being promoted for you guys, and hopefully we can help you a little bit and get you on our website. And it was so nice talking to all of you, and I'll be in touch.
We're so appreciative. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you so much. Have a happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Have a good night.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Lost myself, he had a hold of me. Drive around in circles just waiting for him to leave. So long, no one to run to, but I'm finding myself better away and I am close to you. And now